gonna sue. Drink water. Don't drink and drive.
Game over.
Take it light. Stay.
Now you're more fluent.
He's got three.
Up, Bears.
So this is really good right here. Absolutely. Let's do it.
Yo, what up, Jay?
I kind of got a little sidetracked for a second, Tone, because I was in here watching the U.S. and Poland in volleyball in the quarterfinals. And now, for those of y'all out there that don't know, my man Tony Tone just came off vacation. Tony Tone is he's the consummate family man, which I think is super dope. I was thinking to myself, I could not have married an athlete, even though them the chicks that I should have been hanging around. Those absolutely are the chicks that I should have been hanging around. It's them 6'2", 6'4" volleyball chicks. Them the chicks that I should have been hanging around. And I should have been on some Tyreek Hill nonsense where like, yo, let's make a farm of them. I don't want to have like 2 or 3. Let's have like 10. But the problem is I don't think we would have stayed together, Tone, because you know how competitive I am. So to marry an athlete, it would have been rah, 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 all day long. So I'm not sure that I would have been able to hold up.
See, I'm not saying I made a mistake. I'm not. You met Miss Fluent. There's no mistake there. But she was a very competitive gymnast.
Yeah,
so she's a gymnast, which means though she's not tall. So it's not like we're having 7-foot babies. So I did the athlete thing, and we're very competitive with each other because you've heard our conversations. You know how competitive we are with each other.
Mrs. Fluent is not for the nonsense. No, she is.
But the kids, I'm like, get my height, right? Get her strength and flexibility. And we good. And we good. But
for real.
There was a time I went out on, obviously way before Mrs. Fluent. I went out on a date with a volleyball player, full scholarship to Rutgers. And the only good thing about her was that she was 6'2".
That was it. You wanted the date to be over.
I was like, that's an NBA baby. But I settled for love and happiness over height.
I wouldn't have been able to be in a room for you, be in a room with you for 5 minutes. It wouldn't have been able to handle it. No. We would have had giant kids, though. Yes, we would have had. And no question about it, Tone probably would have had the next Steph Curry or...
I still might have the next Steph Curry. I don't even...
You might.
You never know. We started the Fluent Basketball Academy today. Yeah. And I had him run when we got to, like, we did drills all day, of course, but when we got to scrimmaging, I put him with the 15 and 16-year-olds.
Okay.
He didn't look out of place. Now, he didn't dominate or anything. Let's not get crazy.
Right.
But he took the point, facilitated the offense. I won't say that. Now, he might watch this, but he's not here right now. They're at the park. But I will tell him this. He did not look out of place, which, me, I was like, yes. Because sometimes when you're way over your age and it's like, or you go to the park sometimes and they split up teams, there's always that one dude and like, dude, why is he here? What was that? Along came Paulie and that guy, rain.
This dude, I'm saying. And the one thing I always thought was dope about my nephew is he has your competitive spirit. He get that from both you and his mother.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt about it. So I could see him stepping on the floor with a bunch of 14 and 15-year-olds like, yo, I'm nice too. I ain't scared of none of you dudes. I'm nice too.
You got left open top of the key? No hesitation.
Cracked it.
Doesn't care. And now keep in mind, he's playing with the ball that they use at that age is bigger.
Right.
So he's playing with a bigger, heavier, and he's just no problem. Just
right.
It's like, the confidence to do that.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
Good. I'm happy for it. So, and you'll be seeing clips. I'll be sending clips from the Sports Fluent Academy of Hoops. I'll be sharing those because we have a good turnout this week. It's a good group of kids, and I think that's part of it that we don't pay enough attention to is that they're good kids, right? So it's like they're helping each other out because we got kids anywhere from 10 to I want to say 16 years old.
Right.
Now we separate them into different groups and all that, but sometimes we'll mix them in a little bit. And they're all helping each other out, which is I think is good because we are all competitive, but at the same time, you also want to be like I always say, I train you for skill, and I want to teach you to be an adult. I want to teach you to be a good man or a good woman for the girls that are in the room.
Absolutely.
Because you know what? What percentage are going to make the NBA make so much money that they don't have a real job?
0.3%.
Very, very little. So yeah, so that was so. But the trip to New York was enlightening, eye-opening.
That's the first time you've been before too.
First, I've been
there before. He's been everywhere.
I've been to 48 states, 106 cities. I'm just talking the U.S. alone. I've been to every major city. I've been to 20 different places in New York State.
Right.
I've never been to New York City.
Not one time, Tone. Of all the places that you've ever been,
never.
Of all the places that you've ever been, you've been to Philadelphia, you've been to Syracuse, you've been all over the place. You've never actually been to New York City.
The only two states now that I haven't been to, which are just so random, Iowa, Rhode Island.
How about that?
And in terms of cities, I guess Des Moines and I don't know what's Rhode Island. I don't even know what's the big Providence. Okay,
Providence.
I don't even know. But I'm going to get a lot of grief for this, especially from my boy Cheese. So Cheese Brawley, who from the Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah,
we were going to try to connect. Unfortunately, he had to fly out to L.A. Or no, San Diego, California. Doesn't matter, somewhere in California. So we didn't get to hoop like we had expected. But I'm not a fan.
Nah,
I'm not a fan. Like I'm a fan of a lot of the things there,
right?
But I'm not a fan of just all of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Can do that. Yes, it does. 100%. New York City can do that.
The people were great. The food, the food was amazing. The people that I met, I made a friend for life in
a couple of days that you was there.
A couple of days. I made a friend for life. His name is Knight. He moved there from Turkey. He runs, those bicycle tours that they take around Central Park in New York or whatever. Night New York Tours, I believe. I'll give you the link. If you check my Instagram, you'll see I posted him telling a story about John Lennon and how he was assassinated.
Wow.
Super dope dude, super helpful. Was like, dude, here's where you're going for lunch. Here's where you're going for dinner. Like, if you need a hookup, you need a reservation. It was packed. Oh no, he went and talked to the guy at the door. Boom, we're in for a meal. Like, dude was just immediately just.
Whoa. Tone, you know somebody? Is that what I'm understanding? Do you know somebody? Is that what I'm doing? Tone, you big timing me now? You know somebody? Is that what's going on? It's bad enough I got to deal with Tone with the living La Vida Loca look already, but now he's not only is he multicultural, but you know somebody now. I got some people,
but I didn't care. Like I really wanted to love New York. I really did, and like I said, we did this thing. Have you heard of the Summit? One Vanderbilt. It's right next to like Grand Central Station.
Yes. And
you go up like 92 floors. You're looking down at the Empire State Building, and they have like all these inside. You're doing stuff inside. And it was super, dude. When I took a picture looking down at the Empire State Building, I was like, that's cool. Like that. And then they had like, it was interactive. So there's stuff you could do in there. They had this one thing where a camera took your picture and it had your face. They had like walls, like a screen, and they put your face in the clouds. And like, as you're kind of flying through the clouds, you see your face in like super cool. So stuff like that. Like we went to Champion Pizza.
Yeah.
Have you heard of it? It's a homeless guy, lived in Central Park for 3 months, busted his tail off, got some guy in Jersey to let him make him a pizza. He goes, "Oh, you make pretty good pizzas." Worked there for 5 years, saved up his money, bought a little hole in the ground in the Lower East Side.
Started the best pizza you ever had.
Best pizza I've ever had, and I've lived in Italy. Oh my goodness. Okay? Best pizza I ever had. And he gave one of his, like, eventually he became like a bunch of restaurants, became a multimillionaire, gave one of his pizza joints to some homeless guys that he lived with so that they could rise up to. Like, just the stories that I heard, the people that I met were phenomenal.
Yeah.
People are gonna say, "Why'd you hate it?" I'm just like, it's just, I don't know. It's just,
okay.
So busy. So many, like the homeless people, like have taken over most of big cities in the last few years. So it's just that part. Because don't forget, I was there, not just me. I was there with me, my wife, my kids, my mother-in-law, my dog. Like everybody,
the whole
crew. You know, I was on 6th Avenue. I was driving the wrong way on 6th Avenue so I could whip around a cabbie who had blocked me in because he triple parked. And I was like, and everyone's like, dude, you could drive New York. I go, I can drive New York, baby. They were all impressed with my driving skills. I was impressed with my driving skills, not gonna lie. But you know, I took some time in Jersey too. I enjoyed Jersey.
See, if you from the Northeast, it's an acquired taste. What people see on TV when they see New York City, they see the bright lights, they see the glamour, they see the glitz, and that's all New York is. Yo, Tone, the hustle and bustle and the people moving around and all that extracurricular stuff, it could get tiring. And not only could it get tiring, it's just
tiring. We walked everywhere.
Everywhere. Doesn't make a difference.
That's right. Like it was like I said, it was one of those things, had to do it. You know, did it, got the t-shirt. But a lot of things I think maybe were overhyped a little. Right? Like, oh, Soho's so beautiful. Yeah, there's an area in Toronto called Yorkville. It's just as nice. And you know, it doesn't have
nasty too. Probably just as nasty too.
But the thing is, Toronto's like New York City is just Toronto times 10. So everything you could get in New York, you can have in Toronto, but just busier and dirtier. Well, I'm going to for me at this age, when I'm young, I'd probably have a different mindset. Now, I'll take the smaller, you know. Now, last thing, and then we'll get into hoops. Mrs. Fluent and Little Miss Fluent took in a show on Broadway, the Michael Jackson, the MJ show, Michael Jackson show, and they said that was the greatest show they had ever seen in their life. And they do a lot of those shows, and they came out of there. My daughter came out of there like she is the biggest Michael Jackson fan in the world right now. She was singing all his songs, and just like that I'm just like worth it.
Imagine what it would have been like to actually see the real Michael Jackson. Like if you thought that was awesome, imagine what it would have been like to see the real Michael Jackson.
The kid that played him as a youngster, they said he sang Thriller a cappella, and like chills
on point. Wow.
Chills, like arm hair standing up, goosebumps, chills. Wow. Not to be confused with chills. So even the older guy, they said it was definitely worth it. And it was like I said, there was.
It's kind of crazy too, Tone, if you think about it, because like you said, this is you've been everywhere. Name it, you've been there. Yeah. From Italy to Ithaca, you've been everywhere. Never been to actually New York City, which most of you guys don't know this, but just so you guys know, New York City, the area is only 10% of the state of New York. That's how small it is.
I thought it was 4. Is it 10? I thought it was 4.
10% of New York. That's it.
Yeah, people don't get up to upstate New York, and
they don't, and it's beautiful, which is crazy too, because I grew up right on the other side of the Hudson. Tone, would it surprise you that it wasn't until my daughter was a teenager, that was the first time I ever been to the Statue of Liberty?
Really?
Never been to the Statue of Liberty before that.
But that, you know what though, that isn't uncommon, because when I talk to people who live in big cities and I say, oh, you know, have you gone to this place or that place?
Yep.
Unless they have someone visiting, you don't really go. Like Toronto, you don't go to the CN Tower unless someone from out of town comes and says, let's go to the CN Tower. The Space Needle in Seattle, you don't go to the Space unless someone says, oh, I want to go up this, you know. So I'm not surprised that you're that close, and you almost take it for granted when it's there and it's that close and you can go anytime. And that's why I tell a lot of people, like, go be a tourist in your town.
For real.
Like, do something that sounds like cheesy, like take a bike tour or a walking tour, because you find out some like cool stuff that maybe you know, but you didn't know the details, or you go a new place. And, you know, there's this place about 2 hours from my house. It's called the Allura Gorge. No idea it existed. And it's a gorge. And so there's a river, you know, in between of these two like mountains, whatever. And you can go jump on an inner tube and go right down the river.
Wow.
I felt like I was like in another world. It was
literally right down the block from where you live.
Had no idea. Like 2 hours seems like a long, but when you think about it, not 2 hours in traffic.
Right.
2 hours, you know, going down a nice country road with beautiful scenery is different. Sure. It's different than, you know. So yeah.
Two
Yeah.
Statue of Liberty, never been there until my daughter
Yeah.
shows up. I take my daughter to the Statue of Liberty and never been to the Empire State Building before my daughter. And like I said, Tone, literally never been to Radio City Music Hall. Had only maybe been to Central Park one time. There you go. So man, it was I'm sure it was an experience. That's dope, man. That is real dope.
Glad that we did it. Listening to your advice, took Fluent Junior, as you saw the pictures, to the
West
cage, West 4th Street. Saw that. It was hot. I'm going to tell you, it was 190 degrees. It was hot. So a little bit of photo shoot there, but the Wilson store north of that, on I want to say on Broadway, has a half court inside, air conditioned.
Really?
So as we were shopping, as we walked down into, I think that's more in Soho than in the Village. Yep. As we walked down there, we went there, signed it up, and we played inside. So that's those clips where you see him him putting the moves on me. We played there, and it was that was great because it was air conditioned. It was they gave us a brand new Wilson Evolution ball. We had all. It was really it was like I said, it was a great trip. A lot of cool stuff.
So Tone, and despite just so you guys know, this is the stuff that not just Mrs. Fluent, but both Little Fluent and Miss Fluent, this is the stuff they're gonna remember the most.
Oh yeah. They're gonna remember the time that Daddy was driving the wrong way on 6th Avenue to whip around a cabbie and a limo.
Yes. Remember when we was 10 and Dad took us down to New York City and he was going down the wrong way and we were screaming in the backseat, Dad, what are you doing?
Even the bad stuff. Like we saw, a woman who lived on the streets there, having a bath with the fire hydrant water, it sounds gross, but they're going to remember that as where did you take us? Why'd you drive down that street? I'm like, it was 50th. It wasn't. Who knew?
Which is crazy too, man. It is.
But it was. I'm glad we did it. Let's put it that way. I'm glad we did it.
What's going on in the world of basketball, Tone? That's what I want to know. What's going on in the world of basketball?
Can I start with sad news?
Let's talk. What's going on?
Canada lost to France.
They got served, as a matter of fact. I don't think
they got smoked.
They got served. Yes, they did. I think
does Olympics. Go ahead.
I think France might have heard me because I at one point I was like, I might have overrated France because I didn't think that they were that good. Yeah, I felt like their guard play wasn't very good. I wasn't impressed with Evan Fournier at all. Both Wemby and Rudy Gobert were getting pushed around, and I'm thinking to myself, I might have overestimated them because I had them in the gold medal game against America. Yeah, I had them in the gold. Medal game. Yeah, I had them in the gold medal game.
It wasn't even Wemby and Gobert that made the difference. Like they got, or is that maybe that's your point? They got some. Yeah,
they actually got some guard play. Yeah. They didn't have any. Like I said, I wasn't impressed with Evan Fournier. They ended up cutting Killian Hayes. They just weren't very good. And then now they just basically turned it around. They started making shots. Wemby is defending. Rudy came off the bench. This is what I'm talking about. We talk about sacrifice. Yeah. Rudy actually came off the bench and gave him some real good minutes off the bench. So it gets tricky, Tone, when you play for a team like this, because when in the NBA, immediately they'll see that and go, well, you can't even start for your national team, so you must not be very good. When in reality, it's the ultimate sacrifice, considering who you're playing for.
Yeah, and it's interesting how there's certain players, like Jamal Murray looks terrible.
What's going on, Tone?
He looks terrible. And listen, I don't know if there's distractions, if there's something wrong. If there's something wrong, some people just don't take certain situations as seriously. I'm not saying that's the case for him, but maybe he's just like, it's the Olympics. We have a good team. I'm going to be focused on other things. I want to get ready for the season, right? Like, I'm not making excuses for him. I'm not saying that there isn't anything wrong. I'm saying I don't know. There's either something wrong or he just didn't feel like this is.
But what better? But if you think about it, Tone, what better place to get ready for the season? If you look at the history of the Olympics since NBA players have played in it, we've had guys who've had breakout seasons the next year after playing in the Olympics. I mean, Barkley won the league MVP that next year, right? Jason Tatum ends up making first team All NBA the very next year. Bam Adebayo, he's in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. So I think second in Defensive Player of the Year, third in Defensive Player of the Year. These guys have actual breakout seasons the very next year after playing in the Olympics. So this is the best competition that you're going to see. Not only is it the best competition that you're going to see, it's the same thing that you're going to be doing if you weren't playing in the Olympics. You'd probably be playing pickup somewhere. Well, why don't I play in the Olympics and get the best work that I can possibly get? Because don't forget, Tone, Jamal Murray actually missed the FIBA World Championships last summer. He didn't play in that. Yeah. So now he's in the Olympics. I think that I would think that he would take the Olympics more serious. What up, young fella? I thought that he would take the Olympics a little bit more serious off the strength that, this is an even bigger deal than FIBA, right? So I'm actually surprised because he doesn't look injured, right? He doesn't look like there's anything wrong with him. He doesn't look like he's hurt. So I'm trying to figure out what exactly it is that's slowing him down.
Yeah, I wish I knew the answer. I'd love to give you the answer, but I don't know, and I'm worried that it's going to affect the season because if there is something wrong, like I don't know, is he injured?
Well, let me ask you this question, Tom.
I don't know if he's injured. Is he just lacking focus? Maybe this is it because sometimes it's the most simple answer. He's used to playing with a dominant passing big man, and that's the one thing that Canada lacks is big men. And so he's just made his game so focused on playing off of Joker that now when he plays on a team that's very guard heavy, he's coming off the bench. That he is just not. It doesn't suit his style anymore. And as crazy as this sounds, because people say if you're good, you're always good. No, sometimes you're just better based on the situation that you're in, and it doesn't make you a bad player. Like not every player is plug and play. In fact, most players aren't. Most players need to understand what their role is, what the system is, how to play off of each other. And the one bad thing about the Olympics, to the conversation we've had many times where they don't have national teams, is you're trying to learn that on the fly. And for some people, they pick it up, their game adapts. Others, just it doesn't.
One of the guys that I reference all the time with this, Robert Horry said, if you saw me in the pickup game, you would think that I'm garbage. But put me with Shaq, and I look way different. And he's right. Because if you think about Jamal Murray has basically had Joker for his career. I think he got drafted in 2015. Joker showed up the next year. And they basically been playing together their entire career. So now some people will say, well, chill, what about Jabbar and Magic? Magic actually, he got better when Jabbar was gone. Okay, well, first of all, that's not true.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I don't think that's true, but
no, that's not true. And when you have a guy that you're playing with in Jabbar for 9-10 years, you know how to play with other people. So it's not like you just know how to play with him. You know how to play with other people. Magic never had to be in a situation that's guard oriented, heavy guard oriented. He's always had the ball. Jamal Murray isn't in that situation right now. He's in a different situation. So it could be two things can be true. It's a combination of him not just playing without Joker, but also coming off the bench, playing behind somebody. That could very well affect my game.
Yeah. So that's unfortunately they're out. Because now I think like I said, they didn't play well. Their best players didn't play great. The defense that had been there the entire kind of prelims and in the round robin wasn't there against France. Listen, a lot of people in Canada are saying the officiating. Did they get a little home cooking? Yeah, probably. I didn't expect when I saw the draw, I said for a team that went undefeated in the round robin, they have the worst situation because they got to play the home team who underperformed during the round robin tournament. So they're going to be better. I thought. I unfortunately was right, but they got to play the home team. If they somehow beat them, then they still got to play probably Germany, who's the FIBA champs, unless Germany somehow loses. Who is Germany playing? I forget who Germany is playing, but
they got to play the France Canada winner.
No. But who did Germany play
They beat Greece.
Yes, they had Greece.
Yeah,
they were going to beat Greece. So it was Germany. I figured they'd beat Greece. Greece hasn't looked that good, and aside from Giannis, obviously the Greek team hasn't been. Anyways, I'm not going to go into that.
Well, real quick, Tone. The game earlier today with Greece and Germany, it was Giannis against Greece.
That's right. Giannis against Germany.
I'm sorry, Giannis against Germany. I apologize. Yes.
But so my thought was, okay, you got to beat the home team, who's going to be better than they've seen. So it's a tougher matchup than their record would indicate. Then they got to beat the reigning FIBA champs. Should they get by them, most likely they face the U.S. in the gold medal game. I was like, I don't know that their road to gold seemed very, very, very difficult.
Yes.
And so it's looking like what I had said before, after some scares pre-Olympics, it's looking like what I said, which was this Team USA might be the greatest team ever assembled because one, talent and skill wise, I thought they were, but all they needed to do was dominate their competition. And I think they won every game by 20 plus points.
Starting to do that.
This last game now was, what was it, 40, 30 something? Like it was a blowout.
35.
35. 30, 40, 35 is the middle. Yeah. It looks like it's going to be a cakewalk. Do you see anything stopping them from just walking through to this gold medal?
Injuries are the only thing. I watched Serbia and Australia today, and Australia actually had Serbia beat. They did a terrible job.
They pulled that out. Yeah.
They did a terrible job in taking care of the basketball. Had they taken better care of the basketball, they beat Serbia going away. That was the difference. I still think, and I'm on record saying this, Tone, that I think that Australia has the best action. They have the best action in the Olympics. The problem is that, one, Jacques Landale kills them because he fouls so much. He doesn't know how to play defense without fouling. So he puts them in a tough situation. Patty Mills actually gave them really good minutes, but they're relying on guys like Patty Mills and Della Nadova, guys like Reef, guys like that. If they had better talent
in international play, that's who you do rely on, though.
Yes, you
like
do.
People. I know I've said this to you before, and I'm sorry that I'm going to repeat myself, but people really think, the international teams have really caught up to the Americans. No, they've gotten better. Yes, they have not caught up. And I proved this to you last time we spoke. You can't find more than 2 players on any one of the international teams that could crack Team USA. So if you can't do that, they haven't caught up. 100 million%. They've gotten better.
Yeah.
They haven't caught up. They haven't caught up. That's why when people say, why are you mad that Embiid is playing for Team USA? I'm like, because they don't need him. They don't need him. Like, I would rather he played for. Now, France is a little center heavy. So, but like, I don't know, couldn't there have been another country he really liked that needed a.
What do you mean, Tone? Like maybe his own country in Cameroon or somebody like that? How about that one idea?
Now, that's a great point. You're telling me Cameroon. Just look at all the other teams. All the other teams really have 2 guys that are like NBA guys, and then a bunch of other guys. You're telling me Cameroon doesn't have 10 other guys to go with Pascal Siakam and Joel Embiid? That would be actually a really good team.
Yes, they do. 100%.
Right? That would be a really good team. Like South Sudan found a way to put a very competitive squad together. You're telling me Cameroon couldn't do it? Now I was being a little greedy because they need a big man. How about Embiid playing for Team Canada? It's North.
Or Tone, since you brought that up, because if you think about it, isn't Africa very similar to the U.S. in the aspect of, okay, Sudan is a country, Nigeria is a country, Cameroon is a country. So
like an African team?
Yeah, like a straight African team. So you get guys from Nigeria, you get some guys from Cameroon, you get some guys from Sudan, you get some guys from Zimbabwe, which is where Mutombo is from, right? So you get some guys from there and have like one national team from Africa, like they do in America.
On the continent. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all.
I would love that, to be honest with you.
If he was playing for Team Africa, I would much more accept that, being that he's from Cameroon, than I'm eligible to play for France. Oh, I'm also eligible to play for the USA. Again, and it's not. They don't need it. They don't need Embiid.
They really don't.
He hasn't even played that well. They don't need him. They don't need him.
I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think it'd be that big of a deal if Africa announced, yo, we're going to have an African national team for the continent of Africa, right? For the continent of Africa, we're going to have a national team.
I think that'd be incredible.
You can't do it, and you can't do it with USA because the continent of North America, you'd have to include Canada.
But there isn't a need, right? Because you have enough quality players to put together Team Canada. You have enough quality players to put together, obviously, 2 Team USAs. You could have an A and a B team.
Right. So I feel like if you
probably put together an A and B team, and they'd probably be fighting, they'd probably be playing in the gold medal game against each other. Like, let's be honest. Let's be honest.
Think about it, because if you, that's why for that reason right there, what you just said, Tone. That's why that's why I don't think there's anybody that can beat them, because when you take Anthony Davis off the floor and you come with Joel Embiid, when you take Devin Booker off the floor, you come with Anthony Edwards, right? Or you take Steph Curry off the floor, you come with Anthony Edwards, right? You take James off the floor and you come with Jason Tatum. There is no other team in the world doing that. None. No other team in the world that has anything similar to that. So if I'm thinking about
you didn't even mention they got Olympic KD.
Olympic KD, that's what I'm talking about. You take James off the floor, or if you take Jason Tatum off the floor, you got KD, who just broke the record, by the way, today for the most points in Olympic history. And I think he broke the record for rebounds too, if I'm not mistaken. But with that being said, Tone, I would actually love that idea where Africa announced.
Do all those countries get along with each other?
That's the $1 million question right there. Like, if we had, where instead of having a tryout, which I would love actually to have a tryout, where we had a facility and we had 30 or 40 guys from all of these countries, not 30 different guys from these 30, 40 total from all of these countries, and come in and make an actual national team Africa. Or
listen, that might be really difficult. Okay. First of all, Mad Max, yes, I have been to Africa. But check this out. Let's say they couldn't do that. Let's say they couldn't figure that out. They couldn't do it. So what about a guy like Joel Embiid who's looking for a national team to play for? I don't know if Pascal Siakam wants to play for a national team, but instead of going to the US, go play for a team that has a team that has qualified. Go play for South Sudan.
Why not? You're African.
Why not?
You are African.
I don't know. Again, I don't know. Is Cameroon? Do they hate? I don't know. I don't know.
If I'm not mistaken, Tony, they just got their. They just declared their independence like 13 years ago, and
that's what I'm saying.
It's a pretty war-torn country.
I'm sure there's political stuff that goes into it.
Yes, and they don't have and on top of that, they don't have an indoor facility in South Sudan. I did not know that.
I did, and shout out to Luol Deng, who has been funding that team out of his own pocket.
I did. Yes.
So let's you know what, we do all this fundraising and give all these monies to all these other places. Build them an indoor facility.
Well, they got an African league. I catch it sometimes on NBA TV, and the kid that plays for South Sudan, he played in it. Khalik Jones, he ended up in the G League. Yeah, he played in that league too. They got some players over there, Tone.
Yeah,
they do. They got some players over there.
Started for the Lakers for a minute. Like they've got some
players over there. 100% that they do. So I'm not surprised from what I saw.
You know what? Let me. Where is he? Masai Ujiri, Giants of Africa. Build South Sudan an indoor stadium, please. Thank you.
Or maybe Ujiri, maybe your Giannis Antetokounmpo is in Africa somewhere. How about
he's been looking. He's been looking. He loves Giannis, boy. Like always has loved Giannis.
Oh, that was his guy. 100%. That was his guy. You told me that it was overblown, that he was trying to move up in the draft and all of that stuff, and it kind of got blown up.
No, I didn't think it was overblown. He absolutely wanted to, but what I said was he made it public because he wanted people to know how smart he was.
Right.
Because otherwise it wouldn't have been public. And again, you know me. There's no one that's untouchable. So if you really wanted him, you could have. You just didn't want to pay the price. You could have got him. There was something he could have offered the Bucks to get that pick.
100%. I won't argue that. And if you really wanted him, you had to have believed that he was that good.
Everybody says no one's untradeable. Oh, no one will trade for Wemby. Nah, like, you know what? Look, no one would do what it would take. That's realistic. Mm-hmm. I could get Wemby from the Spurs, but my team, my owner wouldn't be prepared to give
what the asking price. What the asking price would be. What the asking price would be might be a little bit too steep.
It would be steep. It would be steep.
Yes, no doubt about that. It would definitely be too steep. So,
so Team USA through to goal. Are we in agreement?
I do, Tony. I think that they should. I think the semifinals are Thursday. They play Serbia. They should handle Serbia, even though Serbia's got some fight in them, Tone. Bojan is playing really good off of Joker. Joker's still the best player in the world, I think. Whenever I watch Joker, as good as James is, I know how you feel about James playing on Team USA. KD is a bucket getter. He might be the most portable guy that I've ever seen in terms of a guy that's just put him anywhere and nothing will change. But this Serbian team goes as Joker does. Sure. And we talk a lot about Joker's inability to defend. And I don't think that we give Joker enough credit for his ability to rebound, which is the last line of defense. And I think Joker has done a really good job at that in these international games. A lot of these guys don't play that much, Tone, as much as they play in the U.S. game, right? And when they play in America. So they don't play that much. And for Joker to do what Joker's doing, I think it's fantastic. Now, what I will say also, I think that they could do a better job in playing defense, because that switching everything, that's going to bite them. Yeah, that is going to bite them, Tone. I'm on record saying this. Switching ghost screens is going to make me crash my car. I can't handle it. And these guys in Serbia, that's all they do is they switch ghost screens. They switch ghost screens. And I got Joker 28 feet away from the basket covering Patty Mills. And he didn't do a terrible job, and I'm not going to argue that, but I don't want Joker 28 feet away from the basket covering Anthony Edwards. I don't want that. I do not want Joker switched.
Sometimes you need to stay home. Sometimes you need to stay home.
Absolutely. I don't want Bogdanovic 27 feet away from the basket, or I don't want Bogdanovic on the block having to deal with Anthony Davis. I don't want that. No, I do not. So I think that they could give Team USA some trouble off the strength of how good Joker is. They run some good action, but they also turn the ball over at a high rate too. So I think that Team USA can take advantage of that. I think that Team USA did a really good job in keeping Brazil off the offensive glass. That was one of the things that I thought could hurt Team USA, and they did a really good job at that today.
I want everybody in the chat to send a super chat and tell my cousin Johnny that he is wrong. What is he wrong about, you ask? I saw him when I got back from New York. We went and had a day at the beach. It's beautiful, by the way. Palm Beach, shout out.
Just so you guys know, it's not always 20 degrees in Toronto. The sun does come out. It gets warm.
It was hot. I got a little crispy in the shoulders, not gonna lie. You know what it is? It's you don't realize when you're in the water and your back is to the sun hits you, and then it also reflects off the water too, so you get it like a double dose. And he said, I love your show. I love Fluent and Chill. When you post it as a podcast, I listen to it in my car, and I love it. He says, but he goes, you would have 100,000 more people if you weren't so smart. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, your show is too smart. You don't yell, you don't scream, you don't call each other names. And I said, I'm not.
We got to do that. We got to be toxic. We got to have that toxic relationship.
We're not doing that.
No, we're not. We are not that. We are not that duo. No, Tone, you don't know what you're talking about. You're an idiot. What the? No, we're not doing that. No.
Wouldn't it? Like, I could just do this. I could say, hey, you know what? You think LeBron James is the GOAT? That's because you don't know nothing. Look at these kids. These kids are smarter than you.
Who's the GOAT of the NBA? All time.
All time, Michael Jordan.
Not your turn yet.
Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan. He has no clue.
I know the right answer.
Come on, Cam.
Just say it.
He just wants to eat his lunch.
All right,
pass.
Who you got?
Michael
Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
MJ.
Alex Caruso.
Alex Caruso. Giannis.
Get out of here.
MJ.
No.
Kobe.
Kobe.
Let's go in front of him.
You know, nobody said LeBron. So you want to get toxic?
See,
We're teaching the youth.
yeah.
All right, let's we're not gonna get, but apparently we're too smart. So please throw us and tell us it's not too smart of a show. Shane Howard, appreciate the super chat. Hey Chill, hey Flu. Rank these bouncers. At first I thought he was gonna say like Dalton from my favorite movie, Roadhouse, in order. And who would you guys think would win in a dunk contest? Ant, Ja, Zion, Jalen Green, Shaden Sharp.
I don't think Shaden Sharp got the bounce that Zion has. I don't think he's got the flair that Ja has. And I don't think he's got the creativity that Ant-Man has or the bounce that Ant-Man has. So I think he at the bottom of the list.
So Shaden, and I agree with you, Shaden 5.
Jalen Green, he may have some bounce and some creativity, but he does not definitely have the bounce or the force that Ja, Ant, or Zion has.
Jalen Green doesn't have he has the bounce. I see Jalen's head above the rim. He's got
as Zion and Ja though. I mean, I'm talking about these dudes putting dudes on posters. Same thing with Ant. I don't know if he's got that kind of bounce.
Oh, you got Jalen 4.
Yes, I think he's got. I think he's at 4. Now it gets not necessarily tricky, but it gets a little bit interesting because when it comes to straight up and down bounce, I think Zion got the most bounce of all these dudes, both Ja and Ant. I think for a dude that size, he shouldn't be hopping like that. To be honest with you, for a dude that size, I don't think he should be able to hop like that, but he does. Ja, on the other hand, Ja got that post. Him and Ant have that poster bounce. Like Zion has that open floor bounce where he's doing 360s, clean. Ja, on the other hand, is throwing it on your 7-footer, and it just looks so much more dynamic. I think Ant. I'll take Ant. I'll actually take them in this order right here: Ant, Ja, Zion, Jalen, Shaden Sharp.
All right, so I have a different opinion because you don't know what you're talking about. No. I have a different. So the bottom, I think the 4 and 5, I agree, Green and Sharp. I think Ja comes in 3rd for me because Ja, like you said, is going to dunk on your 7-footer, but that doesn't always necessarily translate to dunk contests, which is kind of so he's saying who would win a dunk contest. So I don't think because he's smooth, and again, he will dunk on your 7-footer, but unless he's got a 7-footer standing there, I don't know how impressive the dunk looks. Not that it's still impressive because people are going to beat me up on this. It's still impressive, but I don't think it looks as good in a dunk contest format because he's real. I think he's smooth with the way that he jumps it, right? So I got him 3rd. Ant has, and maybe again, this is my preference in dunkers, maybe Ant has 2 things. He's got the bounce, but he's also got the power, right? Like I loved Dominique, right? The windmill always wasn't like people like, it's a windmill. Yeah, but it wasn't just the windmill. It was the fact that after he finished that windmill, it was like he was trying to tear the roof down, not the rim off. He was trying to tear the roof down.
And it was clean too, by the way.
And it was clean, right? So Ant's got that combination and the creativity. So I think Ant is actually number 2. The reason I go with Zion 1, and you kind of alluded to it, is that in that open floor, he's going to give you a 360 windmill. So it's really impressive when a guy that size, it's not like a 7-footer who doesn't get off the ground and you're just like, oh, wow, big deal. He did a 360, he jumped off the ground 3 inches. No, he's coming off the ground, windmill 360 and with power. So he has that combination of it's going to be powerful. It's going to be impressive with his jumping. And because of his size, you'd be like, how the hell did he do that? And so I think I saw him do a 360 and I was like, what the hell? And it had that dunk contest appeal. And so I think that's why he wins. You can't go wrong kind of with any of them. But that's why I got Zion, Ant, and Ja at 3rd, and then Green and Sharp. That's mine. That's
what it is.
Right. Thank you, Shane.
That's what it is.
We've got two things to do. We got to figure out, I think we have 13 of them, the top 10 teams of all time, but we also have the headline the best NBA player by position today, like right now. Who is the best at every position?
August 6, 2024, the best point guard, the best two guard, the best small forward, the
Yes,
best
sir.
4-man, the best 5-man today.
Today.
Who is it?
It's
Who
funny
is
that we get these questions, but everybody keeps saying, well, there's no it's positionless. There's no position. And yet we keep fighting over who's the best at each position. But
Tone, that drives me to drinking when I keep hearing it. It's positionless. No, it's not. All these guys have just expanded their games. That's it. Okay? Because Joker displays some point guard ability, he still does 5-man things. He's still their best rebounder.
yeah,
He's still their guy in the paint. He's still their guy they run the offense through on the box. He's still the guy that sets screens like a 5-man. He's still offensive rebounds like a 5-man. He's still their best shot blocker, which doesn't even make sense considering he can't jump over a ham sandwich with no mayonnaise. Even with that being said, he's still a 5-man.
Why does it matter that there's no mayonnaise? You have very fluffy mayonnaise. Is it Miracle Whip?
Because it can add to it. It could put another inch or two on the hops if he has some Miracle Whip or if he has some Hellman's on there. So I'm just saying, Tone. So Giannis, who I actually thought Giannis coming into the game, I thought Giannis was a 3. That's who I really thought he was, but he couldn't shoot it like a 3. So he became more of a hybrid 4, and he does 4-man things. Giannis is consistently on the all-league defensive team. Giannis is one of the best rebounders in the game, which is what the 4-man does. Cleans glass, plays on the box, does the dirty work. That's what the 4-man does. Now, don't get me wrong. Giannis is probably the best transition player in the game, which is also what the 4-man does, right? Runs the floor, gets out in the open floor. But he also exhibits guard skills. I equate Giannis, and I kind of got roasted for this, but Giannis to me, that's Doc at 6'11". That's who Giannis is.
Yeah, I think people get so caught up with like a traditional 1 would do this and a traditional 2 would do that they think they can't do anything else. Right? Like you can be a point guard that shoots. You can be a small forward that, that facilitates the offense. You can, but it's what you do most of the time that it's just like the game has expanded. The game has evolved. Every player is being asked to do more. And let's be clear. I want to put this out there because someone's going to clip this and be like, no, it doesn't mean that players in the past couldn't do that. It's that they wouldn't let them do that. And I struggle with people because this is where, listen, you know me. I'm a big proponent of you don't have to have played basketball to understand everything about basketball.
That makes you nuts, by the way, Tone. That makes him nuts. Whenever Tone hears, well, you didn't play, don't say that because
I don't. But there are certain aspects that you had to experience to fully understand. So, for example, in the 80s, were there big men that could shoot? Yes, 1,000%. Could they shoot threes? 1,000%. Were they allowed to? No, because if they did, don't forget that was you were only making $100,000 a year. The coach was making more than you. The coach was the dictator of your team. And if you were a 7-footer that stepped out and shot a 3, regardless if you made it or not, come sit right here with me. So you had to play the way they wanted you to play. Your job was to do this. And now it slowly started to change year over year, and they started to see some guys doing it, and but they didn't want, a 7'2" dude who could post up and score. I don't want you out there. Who's going to rebound? You're my leader.
Where do you think that came from, Tone? Like when you say that the big guy now he's playing further and further away from the basket, where do you think that came from?
I think in 2000 I want to say, whenever they brought in the zone defense and the 3-second defensive rule, and now your center had to leave the key, they were like, well, what is he going to do out there? He's just going to step out and come back in? Well, that's not an effective offense. Let me and some of these guys were starting to don't get it twisted, right? Paul McKeskey, who we talked to a lot, he has a show We Got Next on Sports Fluent. He was shooting from the outside. And he will tell you, I was shooting from the outside. Jack Sikma was shooting from the outside. Eventually, when Bill Laimbeer had Dennis Rodman there, well, they couldn't have both of them down in the key. It pushed Bill Laimbeer out, and he could shoot that shot. A 6'10" Larry Bird, right? Like you saw another guy who's an inch taller. You're not going to let him shoot it, right? Yeah. You're not going to let a you saw Magic at 6'9" run the point. So coaches were like, what can I do different? Well, now my lane is clogged. Well, we don't all have elite big men, but I have a big man who can shoot, and I have a guard who can penetrate. Well, how do I get this big man out of his way? Well, I'm going to start pulling him further and further out. And they started to make
do exactly that. Move him out the way.
So I moved him out the way. And so once people saw that, they started to do it. And then once it worked, it's a copycat league. So it worked for one guy. Well, let's now we're going to try it. We're going to look for one. I'd love to have you say this is the way the league is going. It's going to be a bunch of 7-footers running around.
A bunch of Wembies.
Of course, if you could find a bunch of Wembies, you're going to throw them together and make it work. So I think that the transition to that just happened just organically as players said, I don't want to be and let's be honest, this is going to sound horrible. The human race has become a little bit softer. Let's be honest. I'm the first to admit, I don't want to go down and bang on the boards and fight for rebounds. And so that's regardless of me being 6'3", you being 6'4", someone being 7 foot. There's a 7-footer that says, I don't want to do that. I can dribble the ball. The other thing was, I forget who he was. There's some big men that have like guard skills, but they had like those growth spurts at 20. So they had these
like David Robinson and Anthony Davis, guys like that. Dave Robinson goes into the Navy,
guard skills, and then they grew.
6'7". He's turned 7'1" like a couple of years later.
And everybody, listen, no one sat there and watched Patrick Ewing and said, I want to post up and give a drop step. No, they watched Jordan driving. They watched, Clyde flying to the rim. They watched Dominique. They're like, I want to be that guy. I want to dribble, pull up. I want to give a crossover, drive to the lane. And so that's what do you practice in the schoolyard? Do you see anybody doing drop steps?
It's interesting you mentioned that too, Tone, because my cousin, as you all know, he was a big time Dr. J fan. He loved Doc. That was his man. So that's what he was doing. He was doing all the stuff that Doc did. Well, Sarge didn't appreciate that at all. No. Sarge did not want him throwing the ball between his legs and dribbling the ball up the floor. So he put him on the box. Ewing was his guy. That's why he wore 33 in high school, because he loved Patrick Ewing. Yeah, that's why he wore 33 in high school, because he loved Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing was his guy 100%.
So that's a great example. So Shaq, we saw Shaq take a rebound. What did he want to do? Especially that first year in Orlando, go coast to coast, dribble it, right? That's what he wanted to do. We see him going between the legs, spin move. Remember that All-Star game warm up where he does that to Jordan and spins on him and scores? Like, of course, that's what he wanted to do. In fact, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Shaq's career better than I do. His rookie season was his best rebounding and shot block season, I think, of his career. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that he had some freedom to run the floor, and he was more active. He was more active, and I think that was the best version of him in terms of his activity for those rebounds and blocks. Yeah. But what did they want him to do? Go down low and post up.
Because this is what big guys do.
Get on him, because that's what big guys do, right? There was the 90s.
Is what the game
and
is.
And it's too bad, because I think it would have been fun to watch him in transition. I think he would have stayed slimmer. I think he would have developed even better. As dominant and incredible as his career was, I think they missed an opportunity. But that's what I think is eventually it was the coaches allowing it, the players asking for it. You know how many times even in the camp, it's the big guys like, oh, let me bring the ball up. Like they just all want to do that. So I think it happened organically, and it's good for the game because now it's tougher. It makes it more interesting. So where were we going with that? I don't remember. Oh, best position.
We're talking about the best positions. That's what
we're position. So let's start with our lead guard.
Okay.
Best point guard in the NBA, or you could pick someone outside the NBA if you think someone's better in the world. But best point guard right now today.
Now, again, Tone, when we talk about the lead guard,
your definition. So whatever you think.
Right. So I feel like you have to be able. You got to pass. You're not just a bucket getter. You got to pass. How do you control the offense? How much attention is garnered toward you? How do you get your other guys involved? Not only how do you get your other guys involved, how do you understand the offense? How do these guys play off of you? Of those guys, you got Jalen Brunson, you got Damian Lillard, you got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you got Tyrese Maxey, you got Luka, you got Jamal Murray, you got Tyrese Halliburton, you got Darius Garland, Kyrie Irving, right? You got guys like you got guys like that. So if I have to pick between one, who is the best lead guard in the NBA today? I think it's Luka. I think Luka is the best lead guard in the NBA, and that's because of his ability to pass. Even though he might take some ill-advised shots from time to time, and that's largely due to that unit being built around him, not completely the way I feel like it should have been, but the fact that it was built around him the way it is, I think Luka's the best lead guard in the game. I feel like De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Halliburton, Trae Young are right there. When I'm talking about a lead guard, Ja Morant is out of sight, out of mind. So because he's out of sight, out of mind, what people tend to do is they forget how good a guy actually is. So I think he's going to reintroduce himself to us this season. He's going to tone down the goofy behavior. And I think he's going to reintroduce himself to us this season and remind a lot of people. And I said this about Deshaun Foster, and he hasn't, not yet Deshaun Foster in Cleveland. I said that about him as a quarterback because people forgot how good he was as a quarterback.
Deshaun Watson.
Not Deshaun Foster. That's the running back when he was in Houston. I'm talking about Deshaun Watson. I said that about him, and I'm still waiting for that. But I feel like Ja is going to do that this season. Now, remember, Tone, I don't think that it's Luka and then it's everybody else. I do feel like the gap has closed because what these other guys do on the defensive side of the basketball. I don't think they're there, but I do think that the gap is closed.
I love me some SGA.
Yes,
I love me some SGA. I think he does, and he loves, and I love what he does.
Homer, my God,
at the point guard position, and getting his team involved and being able to take games over when he has to, and putting the people in the right positions. I think I'm a little bit lower on Trae Young than most.
Why? Tone, this ain't the first time you said that to me, and I need to get to the bottom. What is your problem with Trae Young, Tone? This is like the third or fourth time I've heard this from you.
I think he's, not that this matters, but I don't think he's a good person, and I think I don't know him. I'm just and let me explain, because people are like, who cares? I think he's not a good person. I think he's selfish, and everyone's like, "But what about his assists?" I think the assists are just a byproduct of the way that he plays, and I don't think if he's your best player, I don't think you can win a championship ever. If he's your best player,
I felt like that, Tone, about. To be honest with you, I felt like that about Kyle Lowry in the aspect of you not winning a championship with Kyle Lowry as your lead guard. I
know you said that, and the thing is,
believe that
Trae Young reminds me way more talented and skilled. Let's be very, very clear. Way more talented and skilled. But he reminds me of Kyle Lowry when he was like a Grizzly and a Rocket, and everyone was like, I don't know about this guy. I don't. And then he goes to Toronto, and let's be clear, he was only supposed to be in Toronto for about 5 minutes. And whatever happened, something clicked, and he became a leader. I think if that thing clicks for Trae Young, you might be looking at the best point guard in the league.
Do you think it's a personnel thing, Tone? Because
I think it's a personality thing.
Also, it's those two things are not the same.
No, I think it's internal, not the external personnel. I think it's internal. He'll get his numbers. He will impress you. Ice Trae Burr. Everyone's good. He's not going to win. And I really think it's going to be a personality something that will either happen and then we'll be having a different discussion, or just never happen. It's like, man, super talented, just couldn't get it done, which is a shame because he is super talented. He is super skillful. So it's a shame.
So maybe that light can come on at some point.
And I think it's going to have to come from another team. It's going to have to be, I want to be in Atlanta. Well, we don't want you, and I trade you. And that's when it goes, oh, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. Internal click, man in the mirror. Oh, shoot. Maybe someone close to him, give him a smack upside the head and be like, dude, you're going to blow this if you don't.
Right.
And then it clicks, and now we're having a whole different conversation about him. Tyrese Halliburton is your prototypical.
I love Tyrese Halliburton.
Pass first. Like him. He's the guy I want to play with because I know I'm going to set up in the corner. He's going to find me, and I'm going to hit open three. I love to play with Halliburton, but I think there's a lot of other aspects in his game that I'm just like, meh.
Like what, Tone? What turns you off about his
really inconsistent? I think he's really inconsistent, and I think his for as good as his motor is, I think he can get down, and when he gets down mentally, his physical brings it down.
Yeah, and that affects the whole unit too, not just him.
And because he makes them go. So when he's they've said this a lot in the Olympics. You probably haven't watched the Canadian coverage, but in some of the longer distances, when the person leading like the 800, the 400 meters starts to drift, and like people start to pass them. There's a commentator here who's retiring this year, unfortunately, on the Canadian Olympic side, and he's like, "Oh, they're leaking oil," and I feel like that's him. When it starts to leak oil, the whole team just the whole unit just starts to fade.
It happens, and
so he loses that aggressiveness, which makes him great. So that's what. And again,
let me ask you this, though, Tone, real quickly: is that a young thing? Is that a thing that I can fix?
100%. I think. It is a young thing. I think that's why I say he's young. So that's something that can be fixed, but someone's going to have to make him aware of it because sometimes you don't know. Right. And it's be like, hey, instead of going 100 all the time, 90. Right? I say this about Russell Westbrook all the time. 90.
He doesn't 50, know any other speed, Tone. I don't know how to do it any other way. Standing on the gas. That's it. I don't.
I always do the pitcher thing, right? I can throw a 105 mile an hour fastball. So when I drop, when I show you that 85 mile an hour changeup, right? That 92 mile an hour curve, you're done. But if all I do is fastball,
Russ. He's on the mound. He's throwing gas all night. That's it.
Right. Maybe not 105, 99. Eventually, you're going to figure out the timing and catch up to it, and you're done. And that's what he needs to make sure because he's got like 0 and 100. I want to see that middle game.
Yeah.
So who does that leave us with? I think Dame Lillard. I've told you a long time ago. I think he's done.
Wait a minute though, Tom. I mean, it's interesting that can we stay here just for a minute? I just want to stay here for a minute. This is the same Dame Lillard who had gotten hurt. I believe it was in the 22 season, and he ended up with an abdominal problem. Okay, he got hurt, and I was on record saying I feel like
by the way, by his own bad exercises. He's trying to be a boxer and he's twisting his body and he created his own issue. But anyway,
he ended up hurting himself, and he clearly hurt himself, and it affected his game where he had to sit out and get surgery. All right, so he goes and he cleans that up, and I'm on record saying, all right, Dame comes in this year and Dame plays himself back into the top 10. Portland was rolling for a while. Dame was like, I think he was third in the league in scoring. He's averaging like 32 and 7, but Portland wasn't very good, so they ended up sitting him for the rest of the season because they were right outside the play-in tournament, and that was just a bad Portland team, if we're going to be honest, Tony.
Yeah, it was.
With that being said, he still was elite at the point guard level. Now, don't get me wrong, Tom. Excuse me, don't get me wrong. I don't think Dame plays the defense well enough. I don't think
no defense. Stop.
I don't think on the defensive side of the basketball he's committed enough in order for them to win it. However, that doesn't take away from how awesome he still is. He might not be in his peak. Dame, I think he just turned 34 this summer. But with him turning 34, I think there's still 2 more years at this level where they can knock on the door. Milwaukee, love you. Milwaukee, they haven't surrounded him. They haven't surrounded him with enough guys to protect him defensively. But as a lead guard, Tone, I still think he's elite. I don't know. I think you might be off with that one.
No, I'm off on Dame. I don't care what team you put him on. Yeah, I'm out. Okay. Who else was left? De'Aaron Fox. I think you saw the best of De'Aaron Fox 2 years ago.
He came with Bam, by the way. We're in year 7 with him.
That just might be Sacramento, had a drop off. Really good, but I can't have him in that best conversation. the last guy really that I should talk about is the one that I think is the best. Who, I don't think it's a surprise. They call him Luka Magic, and y'all know who my favorite player is all time because he really does remind me of Magic. And people will say, "Well, you're knocking Dame because of his defense." I'm not just knocking Dame because of his defense. I'm knocking Dame because of his defense and other things that I think have been overrated or he's lost. Are you going to bed? Okay.
Love you.
Good night, I love you.
Bye, Chill.
Bye,
See you later,
Chill.
dear. How was New York?
How was New York?
Overrated.
Overrated. Okay.
Overrated. I love that. I love that. I wasn't all that.
I love it.
That.
Overrated. And so I Luka reminds me a lot of Magic.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think what he brings to the table, like there's some effort on defense, but he's not a good defender. But all the things that you said, I think he is a great passer. I think he's a very good shooter. I think he understands the game around him. I still believe, as well as they did with Kyrie, I still believe they don't have the right pieces around him. Although I liked kind of better what they put around him at the trade deadline. Right, I said that to you before. It's just he's got a very weird game because I think he's one thing. I think he wants to be another thing, and I think they put a team around him that forces him to be a third thing.
So now we have three things.
And I think that's what hurt. I think Luka should be your Magic. I think he should be running a fast-paced offense where he's got slashers and scorers and one big man around
the game
him.
up a little bit more.
Speed the game up for him because when I see him, I see a guy who can make the right decisions. I see a guy who, when all else fails, if the ball comes back to him, and this is maybe a little bit different than Magic because Magic didn't develop this until later, he can knock down that open shot. I think he could play in the mid range, right. If forced to. So I think
would it surprise you? Would it surprise you, Tone, if in the mid range over the last 4 years, him and Shea shoot the same, not from around 10 to 15 feet, which is around between the mid post and the mid range. Him and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander shoot the same. Now, when you get a little bit further away, like when you go in 16 to close to the long ball line, now it gets a little trickier. But from that 10 to 15 range over the last 4 years, him and Shea, they shoot the same in terms of percentages.
Doesn't surprise me at all. Surprise me at all. But that's what I'd like to see. Now, maybe that's just my nostalgia for Magic. I don't know. Yeah. But I think what he wants to be is I think he wants to be kind of a scorer. I think he wants to be a 2-3.
Shout out to my man Ticket in the house. What up, Ticket TV?
What up,
my man
Ticket
in the house? Yep. My man Ticket. Keep going, Tone. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. No. I think he wants to be this kind of ball dominant scoring LeBron type of player, but I don't think he has the athleticism. He doesn't have the athleticism, the speed, the hops to be that guy. But I think that's who he wants to be. And then I think what they want him to be is to be this guy who does everything for them. And I don't want him to do that. I don't want him to have to be the leading scorer, the leading rebounder, the leading assist guy, I don't want him to be that guy.
That's a lot of stuff that you got to do, Tone.
It's a lot.
I do feel like that. Let me ask you this question, because you just talked about him in terms of him being slow. You think that's a conditioning thing, or he's just not that good of an athlete?
Both. Okay. And to Ticket's point, yeah, I would love for them to put Kyrie on the ball to push the ball a little bit. Absolutely. But he isn't in. No. If for that team, I think it's level one. If it's not there, then it's Luka's. I think that's how they could coexist.
I hear where Ticket coming from with it though. I think I understand where Ticket, because Ticket wants to speed the game up, and
yeah,
I feel like Kyrie Irving.
I like that.
And I don't have a problem with that aspect, but I feel like with speeding up the game and getting guys to run more, getting guys open more, I feel like I need more of a distributor to do that. Kyrie Irving is more of a one-on-one. Yeah, Kyrie Irving is more of a one-on-one guy, and that's why maybe, not maybe. I'm not even gonna say maybe. I feel like Luka needs to get himself in better shape, because it's not a coincidence that I watched Joker get himself in better shape. And with Joker getting himself in better shape, what happened? He started playing faster. His transition game was better. And not only was his transition game better, they were better. So I think Luka could do a better job in getting himself in better shape because then he could speed them up, be more of a distributor, get guys more involved in the game. With getting guys more involved in the game, they could be faster, and that could really help them, as opposed to him looking like he's laboring sometimes.
You know what the problem with that? You know what the problem with that is, though? He has to want to do it.
Yeah, we can't.
And when you're that good, sometimes there isn't that. What's the desire? What's the motivation? Why? I'm this good. Why change?
Yeah.
And I'll use myself as an example. I remember my freshman year when all the seniors, university freshman year, when all the seniors were like, let's get to the gym. Let's get stronger. Let's get this. Let's get that. I'm like, why? I hit all my shots. If I change that, do I start missing my shots? Well, then I'm useless. Well, what good am I? So now they were right. That was something that needed to happen.
Right.
But there was no internal, like I was lucky I had external sources making me do certain things. But if you don't have that internal kind of push, and that's why he's fine. He feels at the end of games, I'm not tired. I'm still making game-winning shots. I'm able to, even with my slow first step, right? Because my footwork's so good, I'm able to get by. Like, doesn't it surprise you sometimes? He's the slowest guy on the court, but yet he's getting by people. And you're like, how do you do that? Right?
Almost like it's effortless too.
It's the other things that he would have to say, yes, I'm going to do this. I want to drop 15 pounds. I want to be, because you can work, you can make yourself quicker, faster, blah, blah, blah. So I think he could do it. We'll see if he does.
Yep.
But we agree, top point guard in the league is Luka. So we move to the shooting guard.
Right. So my shooting guard is a bucket getter. Not only is he a bucket getter, but he also plays on the defensive side of the ball.
Who are we considering twos?
Okay,
and
so
Donovan Mitchell
and
Booker.
Book. I think Jaylen Brown is a 2. They got him playing the 3, but I think he's a 2 guard.
I think he's a 2 as well. He's a 2 as well.
They got him playing the they got him playing the 3.
I think he's the 2 and Tatum's the 3.
Yeah, I've always thought that Jason Tatum was a 3. Let's see, DiVincenzo. Let's see, other 2 guards.
Put him on that list.
No, I'm thinking. I'm just thinking about 2 guards in the league.
What about Steph Curry?
I think Steph Curry is also. He's in the point guard list.
Okay.
Yeah. He's in that. Him and James Harden are in the same tier with me because they're more of the combo guard for me. That's what the guard is today. But guys like Donovan Mitchell, Anthony Edwards, Devin Booker. When I think about Jalen Green, guys like that, right? Bradley Beal, I think CJ. I've always thought CJ McCullough was a 2 guard.
Yes, yeah, and he is.
Right. I don't
care. Let's be clear. I don't care what they have you listed.
Right.
Like LeBron James was listed as a center for crying out loud one season. He is not a center. Okay.
He's not a 5 man.
I don't care what they list you as. Okay. We're going by game, not by name.
Right. James is not a 5 man. So like I said, my lead guard, he gets buckets. My lead guard, he defends. He'll play on the defensive side of the ball. He's not necessarily a ball stopper, but he's a positive on the crew.
Okay.
He plays defense. He gets other guys involved in the game too. He's not a black hole. He's not just a guy where I just get him the ball and he just scores and he doesn't do anything else. No, he's a playmaker too. He also does that. So when I think about those guys, when I think about Anthony Edwards, I think about Devin Booker, James Harden. That's who they have here. James Harden, Devin Booker. I think the best 2 guard in the game is Donovan Mitchell. I'm on record saying that, and I stand on that. I don't think that it's going to be much longer, but I do feel like right now Donovan Mitchell is the best 2 guard in the game. His ability to stop and pop at the long ball line, his ability to create shots, being smaller than a lot of these other guards, like him and Anthony Edwards. He doesn't give up a lot of size to Anthony Edwards, but he does give up some size. But he plays a lot bigger than what he is. Right? He's got like a 6'6", 6'7" wingspan. He'll dunk on your big man. He's really good around the basket. He puts a lot of pressure on the rim. You could go to him in the meat and potatoes of the game. He also finds guys in transition. and he'll defend. He's great in the passing lane. He's actually a pretty good. He's actually a pretty good on ball defender. I don't think he's as good an on ball defender as Anthony Edwards, but I do think he's a good on ball defender. He came out of college in the ACC. He was on the All League defensive team coming out of college. So of the guys that I'm thinking about when I think about the best two guard in the game, I think it's Donovan Mitchell.
That's not a bad choice. He is very good. Yep. He is in the top 3. I think he's in the top 3 with Devin Booker, who's more of a he's a traditional scoring 2-guard, shooting guard, etc.
Yep.
And am I a smidge early on this one? Maybe. But I think if I'm picking right now going into this season,
the 24-25 season. That's what
24-25. Who am I? Like, if I'm doing a power ranking right now, and we're not really going to get to see them until October,
right?
I'm going with Anthony Edwards, and I think the things that you talked about, where he's a scorer, he is the best player on an elite team. So there's leadership qualities there. Yeah. He is of the 3 that I put there, in Mitchell, Booker, and him. He is the best defender of the bunch. So he gives me everything I want for my 2-guard. Right? He can score, he can shoot, he can defend, he can handle the ball when he has to. Sure. I think he gives me everything I want. Whereas I think there's none of them are perfect, but I think am I happy to put Donovan Booker on the other team's best scorer?
Devin Booker.
What did I say? Did I not say Devin Booker? Oh, did I say I put Donovan Mitchell and Devin Booker together? Either one of them, right? Am I happy? Am I comfortable there? I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous. When their shots going down or isn't going down, do I trust the other things? And I'm like, no, because now Anthony Edwards, I'll be like, if his shot isn't falling, I still know because of his athleticism, he can get to the rim.
So you trust the other things more with Anthony Edwards than you do with both Donovan Mitchell and Booker.
Because their strengths are all phenomenal.
Right.
Whose weaknesses are going to hurt me less? And right now, I think it's Anthony Edwards. And again, I love a guy who, I'm not making my shot, I can get to the rim because I have that athleticism. I can negate my bad scoring game, perhaps, with my defense, right? So those are the things that I think slight. Listen, when we're talking about the best at a position, we're talking my fractions.
We're splitting hairs.
Yes, I'm 100% admitting I'm splitting hairs when I say this, but I've got Anthony Edwards because I think he's the best right now, and I believe he's going to be the best moving forward.
I think he's going to be the best moving forward. I don't think he's the best right now, Tone. And the reason why I challenge your theory on Anthony Edwards is because I think about watching him offensively and how once we get into the meat and potatoes of games, I still am not sure about his ability to read defenses. I can get with you on the defensive side of the ball. I can get with you where he'll do all the other stuff. I feel like that's what makes a 2-guard elite. Because if I'm not scoring, a prime example of that, I always reference Kobe Bryant, Game 7, 2010 NBA Finals. We're not going to win with me shooting the way I'm shooting. If I keep doing this, we're not going to win. I got to do something else. He goes and sticks his nose in there, and he goes and gives me 15 rebounds. So that's the mark of a great player doing other things. I can appreciate that. But I feel like with Donovan Mitchell, I feel like with watching Anthony Edwards, those 2 guys offensively, I don't think that they're there yet. I think that because we see Anthony Edwards as much as we've seen him and we see the athleticism, I think that kind of blows people away and it kind of throws you off from a lot of his deficiencies, especially when he's in Minnesota.
Here's what's interesting, right? Because the way I looked at it too was I took all 3 teams and I went, okay, if I move Donovan Mitchell to Minnesota, are they better or worse? If I move Booker to Minnesota, are they better or worse? If I move Donovan Mitchell to Phoenix, are they better or worse? If I move Anthony Edwards to Phoenix, are they better or worse? If I move Anthony Edwards or Booker to Cleveland, are they better or worse? And in every scenario, I feel that Anthony Edwards makes Minnesota the better team, better than Donovan Mitchell or Donovan Booker would. I believe Anthony Edwards makes Phoenix the better team, better than Devin Booker did or Donovan Mitchell. And
so he's more portable than all 3 of the
I think he
3 guys.
All 3 of those teams better than what they would do if you flip their teams around.
Even in the
Even
system.
though there's some, yes, even in the system. So even though some of the others have a certain better skill sets in certain areas, I think the all around stuff that he does. And you're right. Listen, we saw at the end of those playoffs, he needs to be getting better shape. Because I think why he struggled was he was tired. He was fatigued. He needs to get in better shape. But that being said, in the previous round, we all thought he was the second coming. So I don't want to completely ignore that either. So that's why I say I think in either scenario, like I said, it doesn't mean that the other guys don't do things better. They absolutely do. I just think if I'm putting that, I'm putting him in saying he's the best. He makes the team the best. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
This one should be the easiest one, I think.
Yep. Now, I know that there's some people that have some different.
Ticket might leave. I'm warning you right now. Ticket, you may leave.
Yeah, I already know what it is. There's some people. So when you talk about the small forward position, right? When you talk about the small forward position, we got a different guy in the small forward spot today, right? We got a ball handler. He distributes the ball. He initiates offense. He gets on the glass. He gets out in transition. He cracks the long ball. He defends. He does all of those things. Like he's almost, in fact, he is what your team is built around today. If you think about what the NBA has become, it's become a very wing-heavy driven league. And that's what teams are basically built around today when you think about
I think next to the center position, the small forward is the deepest, toughest, best position in the history of basketball. In the history, if we look at the top 10s at each position, I think other than center, small forward's going to be the one that you're like, oh, okay.
If you think and I want to stay on this, I definitely want to stay on this, right? So if you look at in the history of the game, Tone, which positions do you think are the toughest to crack? One, the two,
center one, small forward two.
Wow. Because I think it's the five, and I think it's the five, and I think it's the 2 guard spot. To be honest with you,
I think the 2 guard. I think it's the 3 and the 5.
That's
3
fair.
and the 5.
Okay. Yeah. So with everything that I just said, right? With everything that I just said, I think Jason Tatum is the best small forward in the game.
Shocking.
Shocking. I think Jason Tatum. I think Jason Tatum is the best small forward in the game. I don't think that there's a small forward better than him. I can appreciate KD's ability to score. He is, in my estimation, the most portable guy that I've seen as a bucket getter. But when I look at guys in today's game, when I look at guys whose all around game enhances their unit. And I don't want you to get wrapped up in what's going on with Team USA, because the way I equate Team USA, I equate Team USA with a bunch of great lead singers: Luther Vandross, Teddy Pendergrass, Bobby Brown, all of these guys. And somebody's gonna have to sing backup. I'm sorry, we're not gonna be able to write all the songs for you guys. Somebody's gonna have to sing backup. So with that being said, you're not gonna be able to see these guys at the best that they can possibly be. So because you're not going to be able to see these guys at the best that they can possibly be, you're going to get confused about who they are. Watching Jason Tatum, watching everything that he does with the Boston Celtics, his durability, his ability to crack the long ball, create his own shot, defend, rebound, all of that stuff mixed into what they're doing in Boston, I think he's the best small forward in the game.
I think when you look at the league today, there's really 3 names that kind of stand out at the small forward position above the rest. It's Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant, and LeBron James. And I think, as I said to you 2 weeks ago, because we did have a week off, people forget. Yes, we did. We weren't here last week. Mm-hmm. As I said to you 2 weeks ago, I have an issue with Jason Tatum, because I keep waiting for him to be the Jason Tatum that we think he's going to be. Mm-hmm. There's still some inconsistency stuff. There's still some, I'm not saying he's soft, but there is a question to his veracity at times. Mm-hmm. But he's got all the tools. He's got all the tools to be that guy. You know how I feel about Kevin Durant. I think Kevin Durant is a guy that you when you're putting a posse together and you need a sniper, and you're like, we're bringing him in. He's not our lead guy. He's not rallying the troops. He's not but he's gonna sit there on the back of the horse, ding, 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 and ping off. He might ping off more people than anybody.
He's not gonna miss anybody. He's
not gonna miss. Ding, 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 ding. But he's not leading the posse.
Right.
I've been watching a lot of Westworld lately. I don't know. Going out in the all right. But he's doing his thing. He's a hired gun. He's a mercenary. But do I trust him if I need a defensive stop? If they're double teaming him and I need him to be a playmaker, if I need these other things, I don't. Now look, everybody knocks me on that. There's a whole breaking news on the other channel that you're on. It's a breaking news. He broke a record in the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
And
and we actually had this conversation earlier, Tone, and
Katie's done nothing to get. That's my point. He's done nothing.
I wanted to talk to you about this in a little bit of detail when asked why is it what's more value? Do they value Olympic rings, Olympic gold medals, or NBA championships, and why?
Of course, NBA championships.
Yeah,
of course it is.
Mm-hmm.
How can an Olympic gold medal, be valued more when there's one team?
Right.
Like if it's the other parts of the world.
That's what that's where I was at with it. I said it depends on where you are.
USA wins, and we've already discussed there isn't more than 2 players on any of the other teams in the world that could crack Team USA's roster. How is that so what? Yeah, we went and put an all-star team together and we beat the high school team. Okay. So right. I don't get a goal. I don't get that. So it's not KD for all of those reasons, because he's your mercenary. So I go back to the fact, and I can't believe I'm saying this, that 39-year-old LeBron James, who is now a 3-point threat, right? He's shooting threes. He still got the athleticism. He still is making the passes. He's still leading his team. He's still doing all the things that, when I look at what a small forward is, he's a Swiss Army knife. Right? If I need him to run the point, he runs the point. If I need him to get a rebound, he gets a rebound. I need him to knock down a shot, he knocks down a shot. If I need him to drive to the rim and get a hoop, he drives to the rim and gets the hoop.
Is he still that athlete though, Tone? Considering what he used to be, is he still that athlete? He's
still more. He's not more athletic than Jason Tatum. He's still more athletic than Kevin Durant. He's still more athletic than Joker. He's still more athletic than Luka. He's like all these other great players. Like there's really who are the handful of great players that are more athletic than him? Giannis, Tatum, elite players. Ja. I don't know. Is Ja elite? Like I wouldn't say Ja's a superstar.
I still think he's elite, though. I do still think that Ja's elite.
I just think of the guys that we're going to have in this conversation.
Yep.
He's not. The dude's ageless. So I think he's still that utility guy that if I have to win a game, if I have to win a series, and I have to pick who do I want as my starting small forward, LeBron James, Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant, I'm picking LeBron James first every time. Right now, today.
Even today,
how hard that is for me to say.
Like I could get with that logic if it's for one game.
It's gonna block me right now from his phone.
Yeah, I could get with that logic, Tone, if it's for one game. I could 100% get with you if it's for one game. Durability matters, availability matters, and consistency matters. That's why being great, one of the main components of being great, is being consistent. And James is not one of them dudes who can do it at a consistent level like he used to be able to do it. Can he still do it?
Neither KD.
Don't get me wrong. He played 71 games last year. James
and hold on. And how many great games did Tatum or good games did Tatum play
last season?
Yeah,
way more than he did.
Games.
Way more than he didn't. And he played 77 games last year.
That's only 6 more.
Yeah, and way more than he didn't, Tone. We're talking about a dude.
But that's what I'm saying. He only played 6 more games than LeBron. So durability, I don't think it's a question. Right now, again, we can't go back 3 years. We're saying right now.
No, we're talking about today. We're talking about going into. We're talking about August of 2024.
And I'm not even bringing up in the Olympics that it's James making the layup to win games and Tatum sitting on the bench. Because I agree with you, it's the Olympics. It doesn't really count. Why is this keep going off? It's driving me nuts. So James
is your guy.
I don't want to know. Ticket, man. Who's the best small forward right now in the league? You tell me. All right. So, power forward.
We're at the 4 spot, Tone.
That's the 4 spot.
And,
I think
and
this one's going to
again,
be easy. This might be. I think we haven't agreed on any. Oh, we agreed on Luka at the 1.
Yep.
I think we agree on the 4 here too.
We agreed on Luka at the 1. So we got guys like Giannis, Paolo, Siakam, Evan Mobley, Aaron Gordon. You know, we got guys like that, right? Bobby Portis. I mean, I don't think that Bobby Portis is in that conversation, but you know, we got guys like that, like Tobias Harris and Rui Hachimura. But when you think about the 4-man, right? You think about the 4-man. I think transition. I think rebounding. I think post scoring. I think mid post scoring and mid range scoring. I think defense. I think how you affect winning. And of all those things, to be honest with you, Tone, I think Giannis is the best 4-man in the game, and I don't think it's a question, to be honest with you.
I think it's Giannis, and I don't think it's close. And I think you could put 3 other players together, and they wouldn't give you what he's going to give you. So, yeah, I think it's him running away. Like everything you mentioned, the athleticism, even though he can't shoot a lick, I feel like he got worse.
Yes.
But I just, it's Giannis. It's not close. I figured that one would be easy. So let's jump right into the one that's going to be maybe controversial. Is there anyone? Okay, let's say you weren't allowed to pick Giannis. Let's make it a little bit. Who would you pick if it couldn't be Giannis?
If I couldn't pick Giannis, the other 4-man in the game that I'm thinking about. I mean, I think Anthony Davis is a 4. I think Bam is a 4.
They do play the 5 though. To be fair, they should be playing the 4.
They play the 5. So Pascal Siakam plays the 4. Mobley plays the 4. I don't think Evan Mobley is there yet, though. I don't think Evan Mobley is there yet. So if I had to pick the best 4-man in the game, who is the best 4? That's a good ass question, Tone. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I think about how good Giannis is compared to everybody else, and it's like he's not even close to everybody else. So I kind of forget about everybody else when it comes to the power forward position, because Giannis is he's the best transition player. He's the best defensive player. He's the best rebounder. He's the best shot blocker. He's the best. All that when you're talking about the best 4-man, he's the best. So anybody else who plays next to him or any one of his contemporaries, I kind of forget about those guys all the way around. Like they got KD listed at the 4. KD is not a 4, right?
Yeah, right.
They got Domantas Sabonis. Like Domantas Sabonis is not close. Honest as a 4-man, I don't think so. I think
Julius Randle, Zion. I think those guys
Randle, Zion, guys like that. I don't think these dudes are close to Giannis. As good as Julius Randle is, and I'm a big time Julius Randle fan, I don't think he's close to Giannis as a 4-man.
And even with Pascal Siakam, I know he's listed at he's a 3. Like he's a 3.
I always thought he was a small forward.
Yeah, he's a 3.
I know that they list him as a 4, and he quote unquote has played the 4 since.
If he's a 4, I'm saying he's second, and it's a distant second to Giannis. But what about my guy, Big Money Markkinen?
Is Lauri Markkinen? Yeah, he is a 4. Even at 7.
He's a 4.
Yeah,
he's a 4.
I 100%. I 100% think he's a 4. But I don't think to be honest with you, I don't think he's better than Julius Randle. I don't think he's as good as Markkinen is. I don't think he's better than Julius Randle. I don't think he's better than Siakam. Siakam is a better transition player than him. As good as Lauri Markkinen is as a transition player, I think Lauri Markkinen is a damn good. I think Lauri Markkinen is a damn good long ball shooter. He doesn't handle it a lot. And the fact that he doesn't handle it a lot, that's not a detriment to him, because that means that the stuff that he doesn't do a lot of extracurricular stuff to get to that. So it's usually one dribble. It's one dribble pop, 2 dribble pull up, 2 dribble get to the basket. I don't think that he's better than I do think that he's elite, but guys like Julius Randle, Zion, the same way I feel about Leonard is the same way I feel about Zion. Your health is important. And if you can't hold up,
I think with the exception of Giannis, I would say that every team in the NBA would trade their 4-man for Lauri Markkinen today. Maybe the exception, the Magic, probably Ben Chiro. They wouldn't trade him because he's young.
The Golden State Warriors wouldn't. They wouldn't give up. They wouldn't give up pods for Lauri Markkanen. And to be honest with you, I think that was smoke and mirrors. I don't buy it at all. I'm having a difficult time with the logic that Lauri Markkanen to Golden State was held up by Pozinski. No,
yeah. If that's the case, they need to get Bob Myers back.
Yeah, I'm not buying that.
If that's the case, but
I'm
I think
not buying it. No, I'm not.
With a very, very limited few exceptions, I think everyone's trading their for Markkanen.
Yeah,
and yes, I'm still holding Markkanen in higher regard because as a rookie, he won me my fantasy basketball league. So to the 5, I have a feeling we're going to agree because we both value this guy very highly, but who's, obviously we all know the names. It's Joker, it's Embiid, it's Anthony Davis, it's technically Bam,
Rudy Gobert,
it's Rudy Gobert, it's
Brook Lopez.
Wemby. I don't know, maybe Wemby.
Wemby, absolutely. Yeah. Wemby's in that. Wemby is 100% in that conversation.
Jakob Poeltl, let's not forget Jakob Poeltl.
Oh my God. Yeah. Guys like that. Rarely. Kristaps Porzingis, right? It's a bunch of bigs that are in this conversation, but in the end, I think the best 5-man in the game is Joker. I don't think that there's another 5-man in the game better than Joker. None of these dudes do what Joker does on a grand scale. On a grand scale, none of these dudes do it. I don't think Joel Embiid. I don't think he processes defenses well enough on the block offensively and on the perimeter as well as Joker. I don't think he shoots the long ball better than Joker. I do think that he defends better. I think Joker is a better rebounder than him. I think he's better in transition. I think Joel Embiid is a better scorer, and I will give you that. He's got one of the most money mid-range games that I've ever seen from a big. But in terms of an all-around player, even on the defensive side of the ball, I do think that Joel Embiid will give you a little bit more effort, and I think that he's a better defender. But all around, I think that Joker is the best 5-man in the game, and I don't think it's a question.
Sidetrack for a second. Do you hate Kawhi?
I do not hate Kawhi. Green thinks, because Green is a Clippers fan, and Green is a Clippers fan.
He's the one. Cool.
Mm-hmm. He's a Clippers fan. So because he's a Clippers fan, and because Tone, you don't feel that Kawhi Leonard is the best player in the game. You don't think he's the best small forward in the game. You don't have the Clippers pick to win the NBA championship. You hate the Clippers. You hate Kawhi Leonard. So
okay. So you got
even though everything that Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers have shown you is correct. Everything that they've shown you.
Green. I'm sorry that you're a Buffalo Braves fan, and your grandkids. Tell them that I feel bad for them that they will never see them win a championship. I think I have the same amount of points scored in the NBA Finals as every Clipper player in the history of the NBA Finals. Is that correct? We're tied, right?
Yes.
Is that correct? I think we're tied. Yeah. I want to say Anthony Davis so bad because when he is at his best, when he is playing defense, when he is aggressive on the offensive end, and I know he should be a 4 and he wants to be a 4, but they're playing him at the 5. There might not be a better player in the NBA when he is playing at his best, both on the offensive and defensive side, because he is that good on both ends of the floor. Mm-hmm. The problem is, and it's a problem I had, if you remember, with when you were telling me 2 years ago, Tatum, the MVP, Tatum's going to be the MVP. And I kept saying he's too inconsistent. The highs and the lows there's too big of a gap. And great players have to be this gap. No, it needs to be like this between their highs and lows. Right. Consistently, like you're going to have a bad game here or there. I mean, consistent. And that's my problem with Anthony Davis, because I will see Anthony Davis go out and drop 40 and 20 and then 6 and 6. It's of course always the bad games are against other elite, or not even elite, other good centers. He disappears, and that's why I can't say him, but I really want to say him because I hate saying the fact that a guy who tries but just can't play defense is the best at a position. I hate saying it. but he is so head and shoulders above everybody else when it comes to playmaking, rebounding, shooting, everything else in the game of basketball. Joker, and he makes it look almost like by accident, not even effortless, by accident. He has this shot. When I play, my son and I have this, we play the one-on-one, as you know, and when we do it, we'll be different teams, but when you make a shot, you have to call out who it is, and you have to shoot like them to make it more interesting. So I'm like, Joker. And it's like, and you know what? I've gotten it in. And he's like, how the hell did you do that? I have no idea. There's no idea how it happens.
See, I and just so you know, ladies and gentlemen, my co-host, my main man over here, what he does is he'll tell you how awesome this guy is, but then he conveniently forgets how much he hates him from time to time. Right? He's ready to strangle him. This is the same guy who watched him get busy. Not only did he get busy, got the Lakers back into contention, he was ready to grab the car keys and put him on the display. I don't care. The first person to come up and want to buy him, take him. I
have never carried another man's bags in my life. I will carry.
He was out.
There's only 2 people that I've ever offered it to. Okay, 2. One, for those that know, I offered, and he ended up doing it, and I didn't have to do it, so it was great. But I offered Aaron Rodgers, if he would leave the NFC, not just the NFC North, leave the NFC. Do you remember? We had Adam Rank. We had Adam Rank on this show, and we were both like, we will pack your bags for you and take you out of the NFC.
Drive him to the airport.
And he went to the Jets, and thank you very much for doing so. The only other guy that I've offered is Anthony Davis. I will take your, and it's not because I dislike Anthony Davis. What I believe is when he's at his peak, there's another GM in this league that will pay way too much for him. And it will not only solidify the Lakers. I'm a Laker fan. I'm not shy about that. I am biased when it comes to the Lakers. I think that they will give them so much that it won't only set them up for success today, but tomorrow and the day after. And that's what scares me, because you're not going to like this, LeBron James fans, but when LeBron James leaves every team because they're so focused on winning a championship right now with him, which they should, it leaves the cupboards bare. And then they have to tank and stink before getting it going again. And some teams, now it's the Lakers, so I'm not as worried, but some teams never come back from a player leaving because they don't know how. They got lucky. Like the Bulls have never. They got lucky again, but they've never been good. They've never been a title contender. You might say, oh, the one Derrick Rose year, okay.
When Orlando lost Dwight Howard, it took them 10 years.
They lost Shaq, and it took them forever, and then they got Dwight, and then they lost Dwight, and it took there's just. Now, that's not necessarily Lakers, but that's what has historically happened when James leaves. So I'm like, if you can do both. That's why I was so mad when they made the trade for Anthony Davis. Like, yeah, they won a chip, and I was like, well, that's a success. We're spoiled. We're Lakers. One isn't a success.
Rotten.
We're rotten. I get it. We're spoiled rotten. I get it. But I was like, all those other guys would have, we wouldn't have won that one in the bubble, but we probably would have won 2 more now. Like it would. But anyways, different conversation. So that's why I say, back to the question at hand, that's why I say best center. I'm going with Jokic just because he, with the exception of defense, he does everything else better than everyone else. And good for him, because he's gotten in better shape too.
The problem with Anthony Davis, to his detriment, is he will give you 12 and 14 after giving you 37 and 17 and 4 blocks. But you know the problem with that though, Tone? The problem with him giving you 12 and 16 is he'll keep you on the hook, because he'll put 40 and 20 on Giannis. That's what he'll do. He'll end up putting 55 on Kristaps Porzingis. And now you can't leave. And now you can't leave, because now you on the hook, because, well, what is he going to do tomorrow night? Okay, tomorrow night he's 17 and 14 and 3 blocks. And you're like, okay, can I get some sort of median here? Because I know I'm not going to get 40 and 20. I know I'm not going to get 37 and 15, but I can't keep getting 17 and 13 and 4 blocks. I can't keep getting 12 and 19 and 7 blocks. No, So can we get something in between? That's how he keeps you on the hook.
So I'll recap. We got a couple super chats. I don't know that we're gonna get. We might have to run through the last thing, but so my best player at position today, I got Luka at the 1, Ant at the 2, LeBron at the 3, Giannis at the 4, Joker at the 5.
Yep.
Jay's got
Luka at the 1, Donovan Mitchell at the 2, Jason Tatum at the 3, Giannis at the 4, Joker at the 5.
So we got 1, 4, and 5. It's the 2 and 3 where we split.
Yep.
Shane gave us another one. Last question. It doesn't have to be the last question. You keep the super chats coming. We'll stay on. Just for those that at 10 o'clock, stay tuned on Sports Fluent YouTube. Actually, stay tuned. The part 2 of the Rudy Tomjanovich one-on-one interview with Tony Styles. It was a good one. It was so good. It was too bad that we had to reschedule and we couldn't be on it. It was so good. He said he's going to come back again right before the season comes on.
He did. I told him. I did tell Tony, make sure that we're back on.
So we can do a preview of the season. So last question, fellas. How do you think the Lakers, would be if they kept that same 2020 unit, maybe a few adjustments, but the same team?
I don't think that it was just the team that was the issue. I do think that them not having enough time to recoup, and not just not having enough time to recoup. Anthony Davis, I think that kind of got him banged up. So I think that was a contributing factor too. But I don't think that, to be honest with you, if they brought back that same team, they wouldn't have had an opportunity to win it again had Anthony Davis not gotten hurt. You guys you guys have to. I am imploring you guys, get off the talent aspect. Please start adding. I'm asking you one more time, guys. Please start adding fortune into winning, because winning, being good, isn't good enough. You need some things to go your way. If you don't have things go your way, just because you got a bomb squad or just because you got good players, that's not going to be enough, man. It's not. Do you think that Laker team, Tone, you think your Lakers, do you think y'all out in the first round if Anthony Davis is healthy? They were up 2-1 in the series against Phoenix. I don't think Phoenix is the Western Conference champs if you guys are healthy. I don't think so.
Here's the thing. Yes, fortune, luck, 100% goes into every championship run. That you can make that case for every year of every team that's ever won. That being said, I'm not a big proponent, as you know, fail fast. I say that a million times. I say that.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Let's
fail fast.
Be over with it.
But if you have a winning formula, you do have to run it back. Yeah. And I hate I hate the fact that the Raptors didn't run it back. I hate the fact that the 2020 Lakers didn't run it back. Like, obviously you're going to have to tweak, but you found something that worked, right? Which is Anthony Davis being next to rebounding defensive big men. Now, they weren't always rebounding defensive, but that's the role that they played. Alex Caruso as a perimeter defender. You found something there. Mm-hmm. Why would you blow it up? Like, you don't blow up something that worked, right? As much as I criticize, and you have criticized Portland after they got to the Western Conference Finals and then they ran it back. No, it didn't work. You had to change something, and you ran it back. No, you failed. It's going to fail again. So I hate the fact that the Lakers didn't do it in 2020. I hate the fact now Kawhi left, so something they could do, but the Raptors didn't get to do it. I hate the fact that the Bulls didn't say last dance. Let's make it the last dance. You know what I mean? Like, especially because it ended up being a shortened season. Like,
one more time.
Give it a shot. Now, if people leave and whatever, it's beyond your control. Cool. But I think the Lakers would have, again, Anthony Davis gets hurt, but if those guys are all back, maybe not as much weight is put on his shoulders. Maybe he is able to take the first little bit of the year off. Like, that's another thing I keep telling teams. Like, you win a championship,
right? Ease
them in. You don't need to win in October. You don't need to win that much in November. I go back to look at the 98 Bulls. Pippen's hurt, right? I think he only plays 44 games that season. Mm-hmm. They start, I want to say 0-6 or 0-8 on the road. Nobody panicked. They didn't start trading everybody. They were like, just calm and steady. He's going to come back, right? Mm-hmm. Anthony Davis, again, easy.
Tone, if I'm not mistaken, it was Phil Jackson who said, yo, y'all better get what y'all can get right now, because when we get Scotty back, we can run the table.
Yeah.
So
And I would have said Anthony Davis, LeBron James getting older a little bit. I'm going to ease these guys into the season because it was a long, when you go on those runs, because don't forget that season was broken. And then, right, it was the bubble and it was weird.
Right.
Ease them into the next season because they didn't have the same typical offseason that they would have had. It was even shorter than usual of a championship run. I wouldn't have had them playing significant minutes until like December or January and been like, I want us to hit our stride in March, not in November. I don't care about November. Again, you have to stay afloat, but I don't care about November, October, November. Well, I'm going to say November because they start like October 30th, October 31st. It's not. So that's I think they played it right, kept the roster together and played it right, they would have been fighting for to defend their title. The Tribe won. I agree that the positionless tag doesn't make too much sense yet. To me, it's position fluid basketball. Lakers in 6. Yes, sir. AD and Bron, best duo in the league when healthy.
I don't know if that. I don't know if it's a fluke, but I mean the way Anthony Davis played last year, Tony, he was in the top 10 in the league last year in minutes. So, I mean, I think that him being healthy, and that team is built for the playoffs, to be honest with you. And not only is that team built for the playoffs, Tone, we've seen what your boys have done over the last 4 years since you won the NBA championship. The roster has been flipped. Okay.
The coaches have been flipped.
Right. And how's that been going? It hasn't been. So how about we stick with what we got? How about that? How about we stick with what we got and we roll with this and see how this goes, as opposed to, all right, we got to dump everybody. Okay, we see how that goes.
I'm telling you right now, the Lakers made 0. They're only one of 2 teams that had 0 free agent signings this summer. They will have no less than 5 in-season trades, and you'll have a new head coach next year. It's one and done for JJ.
That's it.
One and done for JJ. He doesn't even know that Jameer Nelson wasn't on his team in the playoffs in 2010 because he was injured since February. Come on.
Tone, this is a dumpster fire.
And he said he watched the game a week ago. Yeah, I'm bringing that up again.
Yes, you are. Oh my God.
We have 7 minutes. So I'm going to do, I don't know. Do we want to save it for next week? The top 10 teams of all time? Okay, we'll save the top 10 teams of all time for next week. I don't even, you know what? I'll drop the link if one person, whoever gets in first, wants to jump in and say something. Because we went really long with something. I don't know what we went really long. Damn, that's shot up a lot. But yeah, the position. Well, let me go back to that positionless thing for a second. It's not position fluid. It really isn't. It's position expansion. It's asking each position to do more. The point guard now isn't just bring up the ball, facilitate the offense, and pass. It's bring up the ball, facilitate the offense, pass, shoot when I have to, come off ball when I need to. It's more. The center isn't just rebound and block shots.
So I'm still doing my job, Tone. You just added more to it. That's what. That's what you're doing. All right. What up?
What up, Marcus?
What's up, Chill? What's up, Fluent?
What you got, man?
For my best each position, I got Luka, and man, it's so with the 3 guard. I mean, not 3 guard. For the 3, it's so hard because I want to say Tatum so bad.
So say it then.
Then don't.
LeBron James.
Let me get Tatum because I like his defense more. I think he's more consistent on that side. For the 4,
Giannis.
Incorrect answer.
And for the 5, that's easy.
That is easy.
So you got Luka, Ant, Tatum, Giannis, Joker.
Yeah.
That is a safe 5. No one's mad at that 5. No one's mad at that 5.
Yeah, I got Ant as my best Chill because Donovan Mitchell and Devin Booker, they are great, but I just think what Ant just does in the playoffs and his defense, like what Fluent has said before, when you can't get your shot going, what other things can you do? And I think when Ant doesn't have his shot going, he's elite on defense. I think you've seen that in Game 7 of the Denver series.
Sure.
I think a year ago you saw with the Lakers with that game. Like he could just
But
do
he's
like more
but
things.
how with what you just said, right? With everything that you just said, how much he struggles offensively. I don't just mean as a scorer, but just offensively. How much he struggles.
Well, like as a playmaker or passer?
Yes, and the fact that how good he's going to be, he ain't there yet. I ain't saying that he's
Donovan Mitchell was struggling like a year ago versus the Knicks. He struggles too.
But with that being said, that was a new unit. That's number one. Number two, that's the same team that the year before they were a playing team. This is the same team. He gets on that crew. They're a top 5 seed in the East. They go from being a playing team to a top 5 seed. How much better does he make them? Now, of course, the bright lights playing in the playoffs kind of threw guys like Jared Allen and Evan Mobley off the track. Donovan Mitchell did get outplayed in that series. I won't argue that. He didn't get as busy as I would like. But then this season, I'd like to think that I got a guy who actually won me a playoff series. I think he won them that playoff series against Orlando. When I think about as good as Jared Allen was, even though he was beat up, as good as Evan Mobley is, and Evan Mobley is, I thought that series was over in 5, to be honest with you. I didn't think it would go 7 games. I was actually surprised.
No, I'm talking about the Celtics series. Like with the Celtics series, I thought like if Jared Allen and Donovan Mitchell was there for like 3, 4, I think he could have got extended for like.
It could have went to 6.
One more game,
I think it would have went to 6. No doubt about that. I think they should have swept them. But the reason why they didn't sweep them is because you got the Donovan Mitchell game, right?
Yeah.
You getting the Donovan Mitchell game. I mean, that kind of player, to me, I feel like he enhances your unit so much. And when a guy that's that good plays bigger than what he is, it just makes I feel like it just makes him even better.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
All right, man. I appreciate it, Marcus.
All right, Mark.
We got one. Just because of his name, I'm gonna ask this question.
Bronny or Thanasis?
No, Fudge Pants.
Fudge, just so you know, Fudge.
Oh, you know Fudge?
We do not.
I do not know him, but just so you know, and I know this may sound ridiculous to you, Thanasis was a professional basketball player before Giannis showed up. He was playing pro basketball. So
He was drafted by the Knicks. That is true.
Let's not make this sound like this isn't the J.R. Smith situation where J.R. Smith got his brother on the Knicks for $500,000 and the dude clearly couldn't play. No, it's not that situation.
I think it's because he's still in the league, and we see people always show the low lights. Thanasis does have some highlights.
Right.
He does have a lot of athleticism. Like like you said, he was drafted. Like they didn't draft him because Giannis was a free agent, and they were like, "Oh, if we draft him, we can sign him."
Right.
They did draft him first. So, that being said, Bronny or Thanasis?
I'll take Thanasis today. I'll take Bronny in the future because I think Bronny's going to be a player. I do.
I'll say that neither one of them should be in the NBA today, tomorrow, ever.
Bronny definitely should be in the league right now because he's not ready.
He's not ready. He's not. So with that being said, we done. Yep. Stay tuned for the Hoopstorians. Are you going to jump on or no? I don't even know to comment.
I did not know that. I did not know that I was.
You're always invited. You're always invited on every show.
I'll remember that in the future. I do have something to do tonight, but all right.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I'll talk to you off air. I'll find out what that
I don't. It's not like that. That's not like that. No, not like
all right,
that. Brother. Yes, sir. We will see you guys soon. But until then, put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man. Call your mother. When last time you talked to your mother? I talked to my mother last night. Tone, my mother is one of those moms that all you got to do is say one thing, and here she goes, and it just won't stop.
I took my mother and father out for lukumades. They're these little pastries, Greek pastries, yesterday. Mm-hmm. So we good.
And I love my mom. She once she gets going, my mom can go for hours. She just won't stop. So it was good to see you guys tonight. We will see you guys soon. But until then, take it light. But take it. Absolutely. Good to see you guys, man. No doubt.